Do you make these mistakes when learning a new language? 10 common mistakes language learners make when learning English. These are mistakes that you might be making too, but with a few changes, you can identify your mistakes and progress much faster. So stay with us until the end of this video and don't miss any parts. Mistake number 1. Focusing too much on theoretical learning and grammar rules. Many language learners forget that language is a tool for communication. Instead of constantly doing workbook exercises and grammar tests, you should focus on communicating. Imagine you are in a foreign country and you want to buy food. Your goal is to communicate, not to make sure your sentences are grammatically perfect. Just get the message across. If you've ever thought that you can't speak without fully understanding grammar, like this video now and continue watching to find out why this is wrong. Even in our native language, we don't always speak using the perfect grammar. In fact, grammatical mistakes in speaking and communication aren't that noticeable. These mistakes only matter in exams like IELTS and TOEFL, and they aren't that important in real world. Mistake number 2. Treating English like math. Some people see English like math and think they need to put words into fixed templates and always use one set of rules. But language is very flexible. You can say one thing in many different ways. It is not like we have one formula to plug different words into. Example, to say I like to read books, you can say I love to read books, I enjoy reading books is my hobby. If you want to know how you can speak flexibly in your daily conversation, make sure to watch the rest of this video. Mistake number 3. Looking for shortcuts and easy ways. Many people look for quick and easy ways to learn a language, but learning a language takes time and requires consistent practice. There are no shortcuts. Your mind needs enough time to process and learn a new language. You might try different techniques and immerse yourself in English content to speed up your language learning process and make daily progress, but without spending the necessary time and engaging deeply with English, learning is almost impossible. If you're the kind of person who doesn't have enough patience and is constantly looking for ways for shortcuts, we have some techniques in this video to help you learn English faster. Mistake number 4. Fear of making mistakes. Many language learners want everything to go perfectly and make no mistake. Why? Because they think if they make mistakes, their IQ will be questioned. But making mistakes is part of learning process. You have to make mistakes to learn. Let me put it this way. If you don't speak incorrectly and make enough mistakes for your teachers to correct you, you'll never learn the new language. You know what it's like? It's like trying to stand on one leg and keep your balance. You have to fall a few times and lose your balance to learn how to stand on one leg without falling. You have to lose balance to gain it. I'm sure if I ask you right now to comment a word or sentence you used to say incorrectly for a long time until you finally learned it correctly, you'll think of many examples. Mistake number 5. Not immersing yourself in the new language. Learning a language can't be done with just a few hours of practice a week. You need to immerse yourself in the language. You should constantly expose yourself to English content. Watch English movies and shows, read English books, listen to English podcasts and music, and most importantly, constantly speak in English. This continuous engagement with the new language significantly speeds up your language learning and is very effective for learning English. On our channel, we constantly try to provide content that engages you with English in your daily life. The things we teach you here give you the chance to practice without missing out on your busy routine. Mistake number 6. Losing momentum. What is momentum? Momentum means continuing to learn without long interruption and creating a regular routine for practice. Have you ever noticed that when you don't practice for a week and then return to your books, you realize you've forgotten some things you knew before? This is losing momentum or continuity. In language learning, momentum refers to a consistent and continuous learning. When someone starts learning a language with a motivation and persistence and practices and studies regularly, this continuity and consistency makes learning faster and more effective. Some people learn something, then abandon it, and come back to it later. This makes learning scattered and unorganized, and it reduces motivation. If you are one of those people who lose motivation, we constantly encourage you. How? We upload content for you daily and share very small but useful tips on our YouTube channel. Mistake number 7, finding exact equivalent of words. Many language learners look for exact equivalents of words from their native language in English. But you need to understand that each language is an independent entity and doesn't always have exact equivalents. This equivalence makes you first think in your native language and then convert it to English. That's why your speaking doesn't sound natural. Instead, see how native speakers say things and do the same. Does it matter if we don't say it the same way in our native language? Absolutely not. Forget your native language. For example, in some languages, you might say, "May your hand not hurt," to thank someone. But in English, you just say, "Thank you," or "I appreciate it." Even though it is not an exact translation, it conveys the meaning. So, you don't need to wish for someone's hand not to hurt in English. Mistake number 8, looking for the best teachers and resources. For language learning, many people think they need to find the best teacher or the best books. But the truth is that no matter how good the resources are, it is you who need to practice. Teachers are just guides, and the main responsibility for learning lies with you. Spending a significant amount of your energy on finding the perfect book or teacher won't help you that much. In fact, teachers and books, especially at the beginning, are only slightly different from each other and do the same thing for you on a large scale. Instead, start with teacher or book or system you are comfortable with and focus your energy more on practicing and maintaining consistency in your learning. Mistake number 9, incorrect evaluation. Some people think that the number of units they've completed in their books, the number of words they've learned, and their exam scores are the criteria for measuring their progress. But the only real measure of language skill is speaking ability. Speaking should be your only benchmark for measuring progress. If you're speaking correctly and fluently and improving every day, it means you're on the right track. If you can speak fluently, even though you're score 100 on exams, something is probably wrong. Have you seen our self-study guide for improving speaking? It will come in handy here. Mistake number 10, not imitating enough. Many people try to say things in their own way in English and translate it. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, language learners translate sentences from their native language to English. But you should see how native speakers express themselves and imitate them. The tip I gave you earlier about immersing yourself in English content comes in handy here. You should imitate native speakers as much as possible. I think from this perspective, cheating in language learning is very positive. Cheat from others. See what they say and how they say it, and do the same thing. This way, you'll speak more naturally and learn faster. For example, if you pay attention, English speakers don't say "I'm hot" to mean "I'm warm." They say "I feel hot." You should pick this up from movies and English conversation and imitate it. There are thousands of similar examples. For instance, how would you naturally say relax your wrist in English? If you have imitated enough, you'll give us the answer in the comments. Now that we've reached the end of this video, I hope these 10 mistakes and their solutions help you make learning English easier. We constantly upload practical tips and useful content for you. Subscribe so you don't miss these videos. Remember, learning a language is a long journey and you need to move forward with motivation and perseverance. See you in the next video.